Okay, our next award is for the best use of interactive new media. Yes, this is the award for those geniuses who are capable of making teenagers interact in a way that doesn't involve shouting, grunting, or slamming a door. To present the award, we have the child therapist from Little Angels and the House of Tiny Tearaways, so it's fair to say that she knows a thing or two about children and interactivity. OMG, she's got a BSc, an MSc, and a PhD. Please go OTT for Professor Tanya Byron.
Good evening. The advent of new media has seen huge advances in creativity, none more so than in children's entertainment. This year's fantastic nominees have given children the opportunity to create movies and music, immerse themselves in an interactive world, and even adopt a monster. The nominees for interactive are...
Interactive. See BBC Hacker and Dodge Popstar. Moshi Monsters.
With the ever-expanding world of Monstro City at their fingertips, every day is a monstrous adventure. Just like real pets, monsters need looking after. Earn enough rocks by solving puzzles and playing mini-games, and they can give their new pet a makeover, customize its house, and collect lots of monsterific items.
Tate Movie Project.
That's right, a finished feature film, made entirely by kids. In July 2010, we launched the interactive site, with a film studio where kids could take part in all aspects of filmmaking, inspiring over 400,000 visits to the site and over 40,000 contributions from kids, uploading their own art and ideas.
The Land of Me.
Together you'll make monsters, alter environments, construct buildings, choreograph dances, compose music, tell stories and more.
And the BAFTA is awarded to Tate Movie Project Development Team.
Thanks, everybody. This project has been the most amazing collaboration between some great British brands. Tate, Aardman, the BBC, and Fallon have all been involved, and there's such talented people that I can't thank enough, and we can't possibly name them all and still be here for more than an hour or two. But thank you to our sponsors, Legacy Trust UK and BP. But above all, I think this project is really about children's vision and imagination. There's been so much energy, so many ideas that those children contributed. So thank you to the children, all 34,000 of you. Thanks very much.
Soon after the curtain came down on last year's Children's Awards, BAFTA set out a packed programme for the year to support initiatives to involve children in film, television, online media, and here is what went on.
Last November, young fans flocked to the Barbican for our London Children's Film Festival event, inside the world of Ben 10, for some behind-the-scenes magic with the show's creator, Tram Wigsell.
For the show to work, we wanted to make sure that he felt like a real 10-year-old boy. We didn't want him to be this, I'm Mr. Perfect.
Did you realise it was going to be such a big hit? How did you come out with their faces?
Partnering with Media Trust, industry professionals support young people from disadvantaged backgrounds on media projects.
Gives you a bit more determination to really strive for something and go for it and just don't hold back.
Over 70 mentors have been recruited to work with youth organisations up and down the country. Star of Wizards of Waverley Place, Greg Sulkin, talks about the importance of winning the BAFTA Kids vote.
To get the BAFTA Kids vote was huge. we love the kids, we love the fans, and we try and make the show as good as we can for them, basically.
Your favourite authors, actors and directors have been talking to us on the new dedicated website, BAFTAkidsVote.org.
Film is a much more collaborative process than writing. You know, I'm being the sort of writer-director myself. That is what, you know, writing a book is, really.
BAFTA continued its partnership with Film Club.
We're here reporters for Film Club at the Orange BAFTA Awards.
BAFTA arranged for filmmakers to talk in schools across the UK. To help celebrate their 10th anniversary, BAFTA partnered with First Light to find the best children's film of the decade.
The winner is
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Thank you, First Light, thank you, BAFTA, and thank you all the fans who voted for Harry Potter.
Bye!
Our next presenter is quite simply a brilliant actor. Having appeared in some blockbuster movies such as Return of the Jedi, Willow and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, he's now taking the TV by storm in Ricky Gervais's new comedy, Life's Too Short. Please welcome Warwick Davis.
Wow. Terrific. I was actually just speaking to the producer back there, and he said, don't do a few minutes like Ted, keep it short. Now, I'm not sure what he meant by that, but anyway. By combining artistic vision, well-crafted scripts, and great vocal performances, this year's nominees have created some painstakingly unique and wonderfully entertaining television. The nominees for animation are...
Animation. The Amazing World of Gumball.
Good job, everyone! Hey, don't worry, we can use this diaper as a parachute and float safely down the...
Grizzly Tales.
Whoever heard of a machine that could suck the scream out of a person? I shall never have a vacuum cleaner in this house. Oh dear, I've already asked him to come back on Monday.
Muddle Earth.
Your go, your carefulness. Yes. Yes. Oh dear, Benson.
Pet Squad.
Stop, Bingo! It's a trap! It's a trap! It's a trap! Sheba, you walk around expecting the ground to just open up and...
Where'd everybody go? Ooh, it's a mystery. This is a job for Sherlock Pepe, ace detective.
Joke! Where are we?
And the BAFTA goes to... The Amazing World of Gumball. Ben Doppelgänger, Mick Graves and Joanna Beresford.
Thank you so much. On behalf of everyone involved and their talent and their efforts, thank you very much.
Okay, next up is the award for video game. Now, if I tell you that our next presenter once wrote and performed the theme tune for a show that he was starring in, you could be forgiven for thinking that it was Dennis Waterman, but interestingly, it's not. It's actually the multi-talented former resident of Coronation Street, who is currently playing the lead role in one of the best musicals I've ever seen, Ghost, in the West End. Please welcome Richard Fleischman.
Combining cutting-edge technology and incredible artistic vision, this year's nominees have created video games that not only aid children's development, but also keep them enthralled and entertained for hours. The nominees for video game are...
Video game. Little Big Planet 2. Kirby's Epic Yarn. Pokemon Black and Pokemon White. Lego Pirates of the Caribbean.
And the BAFTA goes to Lego Pirates of the Caribbean Development Team.
Hi there. I'm delighted to be able to accept this award on behalf of everyone at TT Games, in particular the development team at Traveller's Tales, who worked incredibly hard on it. A big thanks goes out to Disney, who supported us so enthusiastically, and also a special thanks to our friends at Lego Company and at Warner Brothers. Thank you.
Am I going to have to be school teacher? Can we get a bit of quiet while people are doing speeches, please, people? They've worked very hard over the past year. Thank you very much. Okay, the next award for preschool animation. Our next presenter clearly has superpowers. You know it already. I can hear you whooping. Because she once wrote a book called How to Wean a Man Off Football. She's also an incredibly talented actress and comedian who I'm sure will make a big impression tonight. She was the star of BBC One's The Big Impression. And here's a bit of a clue. The star of Ronnie Ancona and Co. is, of course, Ronnie Ancona.
I'm hugely honoured to be here. I only watch children's television. I can tell you nothing about the second series of The Killing, but I can tell you everything about episode 26 of Ben and Holly, the plot synopsis, everything. It's a real honour to be here because I've just spent 12 months doing Pet Squad with Darren McQueen. Fantastic show. Anyway, really pleased to present the Preschool Animation Award. This year's nominees have taken preschool animation to new levels of creativity, featuring a little princess, a family of pigs, some undersea adventurers, and even a crime-fighting Rastafarian mouse. So let's have a little look at the nominations.
Preschool animation. Little Princess.
Butterfly! Oh, no! Oh.
You're not going to eat that, are you, Princess?
If I don't eat it, it's a waste. And it's really bad to waste things.
Oh.
You don't have to watch.
I won't.
Octonauts.
Peso, you take Bob. Quasi, you take Bob.
Oh, but what about Bob?
Bob's with me. Octonauts, let's do this.
Oh, tickle, tickle, ear, that tickles.
Peppa Pig.
Yesterday, I went to the duck pond and I saw Mrs. Duck. Well, yesterday, then I went to the supermarket with Mummy. We bought bread, carrots and... What's wrong?
You talk too much. You go blah, 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 blah. Just like that. Blah, blah, blah.
Mummy, Susie said I talk too much.
Well, you are a bit of a chatterbox, Peppa.
Rastamouse.
No skateboard thing can distress me. Me have wicked balance. And me have wicked moves. Me can ride the rhythm. Cause me in the groove. So ride the rhythm. See me ride the rhythm. Ride the rhythm. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Ride the rhythm. Ride the rhythm. Skateboard at your feet. Bim bam bim bam boom.
And the BAFTA goes to, oh, a perfect show, really, Peppa Pig.
Mark's arrived. Well, this is an incredible surprise for us. I mean, I can't believe that 10 years ago we were just pitching this programme to a few of the broadcasters, and some enduring memories. Debbie McDonald, when we first went to see her, she was such a supporter of the show. But of course, from Nick Jr., we also have Five, and we have E1 Entertainment over there. And of course, we have Harley Bird, who is playing Pepper at the moment. I mean, she's just fantastic. And of course we have a crew of 30 people on Regent Street, those of you that know us, who do just a magical job every week. So thank you very much, thank you. Whoa.
Thanks very much.
Thanks everyone, that was lovely. We arrive at the special award now. This award is in the gift of the Academy and is awarded in recognition of outstanding contribution to children's media. To present it, we have a man who began his broadcasting career at Piccadilly Radio. He is a former editor of Panorama and the current political editor for the BBC. We are delighted that he's here tonight. Everyone, please welcome Nick Robinson.
There we are. They told me I had to make it face that way. I've never had one, so I'd quite like it to face this way so I can pretend. Now, is there anybody here, ladies and gentlemen, who was born after 1972? I thought there'd be one or two at the Children's Award. Let me tell you about a world that you can't remember. A world in which there were not 300, not 3,000, but 3 television channels. A world in which there were no mobile phones. A world in which there was no internet, no Twitter, no Facebook. If you wanted to know what was going on in the world, you had to wait for a news bulletin. But another thing happened in 1972, a rather revolutionary idea, which is instead of children having to wait for the bulletin made for their mums and dads, there could be one made for them. News Round, the winner of tonight's special award. But what made that idea, which Edward Barnes, the brainchild of that programme, is here today, what made it so special was instead of it being kids' news, children's news, it would be, and spot the difference, news for children. Proper news, but ones that children wanted to watch, done in a way that they would find engaging and interesting. Now, Edward Barnes, who's here, hadn't had much of a success in television. The only idea he'd had up until then was a programme, I don't know what's happened to it, Blue Peter? Something like that? Is there anything? Can you imagine being here, knowing that you created Blue Peter and Newsround? He'll get a proper applause in a second, but let's give him more than that. The idea was not just brilliant, but the choice of the man to present it, John Craven, who is here, and of course, if you remember, between 1972, when it was created, and 1989, Newsround wasn't Newsround, it was John Craven's Newsround. Now, you know your memory plays tricks? I am convinced that John wore that yellow V-neck jumper every day for those 17 years. He did, didn't he? With a kind of shirt and a tie under it. I'm absolutely convinced. Certainly when I went to work on the programme, which is why I'm here, just for 3 months, he was, I'm sure, John, wearing that yellow V-neck jumper. But I am not exaggerating, and I am not saying this because I'm here tonight. I learnt more from John Craven in 3 months as a trainee producer on Newsround than virtually any figure I've worked with in news ever since. Because what he taught me is that you should always be informative but never patronising. What he taught me is you should never take your audience for granted in terms of what they already know. And what he taught me more, I think, than anything else, I doubt he ever used the word, but he taught it me, was that what matters in our business is trust. That your viewers trust you. In Newsround's case, that their parents trust you as well, and that will be true of many of the programmes made here today. And in our business, that BBC News trusted Newsround to do it. So when as a young trainee, a dreadful, dreadful, unspeakable massacre happened while I was there, the Hungerford Massacre. Somebody killed 16 people. There was a great argument. Who would tell the audience about the Hungerford Massacre? And John Craven argued, look, children are going to be switching on expecting to see Newsround. They won't know that something's terrible happened. They'll expect to see it. And the news guys, people like me, the suits, for ages, as I recall it, said, no, 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 you can't do this. This is serious news. We're going to get our guys from the newsroom to do it. And John, as I recall, battled and battled and battled and said, there is no nice way to tell this story, but at least I understand my audience and they trust me. And John won the right to tell that horrific story to children. And I think that battle, along with the one over the Space Challenger when it exploded, and there were other battles in years ahead, is one of the reasons that Newsround is the programme that it is still today. Now, I say still the programme it is today because my children have watched it. They've moved through watching it, although my youngest still watches it, aged 11. There are now not just 2 bulletins a week as there were when Newsround began, but 40 on the team, making 45 television bulletins and a football show, Match of the Day Kickabout, and award-winning documentaries. And next April, Newsround enters the pantheon of fame. There are very, very few programmes that have been on air continuously for 4 decades and are still as damn good as they were when they began. But Blue Peter is there, Corrie is there, Panorama is there, and ladies and gentlemen, as we watch just a few of the special moments, let us appreciate the 40 years that Newsround will soon have been on our screens.
First on BBC One, John Craven's Newsround.
Here's Newsround.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello there,
Hello.
friends. Check your watches. I make it just about 5:05.
I certainly did grow up watching Newsround, and it was the programme that got me interested in news. I suspect I speak for all of us who've ended up working in this part of the industry, that we were fired up by watching Newsround and by watching John Craven and his amazing jumpers in particular.
Winnie the Pooh is in danger.
Ever since Newsround got this smart new desk, we've had lots of letters asking,
what this is for.
I worked with John Craven long before he went to Newsround, when he was working in the television newsroom. He just went bonkers for Newsround, really. He recognised that it was one of the great jobs in television. To have an audience of intelligent children who want to know what's going on in the world is an incredible privilege, and John recognised that. He did it very well.
Newsround's got an amazing past, and most of us who've worked in BBC News, one way or another, have ended up doing something for Newsround. And many of our biggest stars have spent a lot of time on Newsround.
This is Michael Burke for Newsround in Aberdeen.
It's not perfect, perhaps, but it's certainly audible.
I think I learned more about journalism on Newsround than anywhere else I've worked, and I've probably had more fun.
At sea, they'll have to deal with icebergs. And when they get to Greenland, as well as having to climb the mountain, they could come face to face with polar bears.
Unlike other jobs in journalism, you've got to do an incredible range of stories.
That was a bit too close.
Literally, one day you could be reporting on devastation, earthquakes, flooding, that kind of thing. The next day you could be at a pantomime cow convention. And of course, we got some great world exclusives as well.
Only one TV programme, ours, was allowed onto the movie set.
Found out that you could audition by sending a picture of yourself and some information to Newsround.
How are you doing? This is what it's like when you interview a member of the royal family. I'm going to wish Alice the best of luck. Let's leave her to it.
One of the most crucial things that Newsround does is that it helps explain very difficult and tragic stories. During my time at Newsround, for example, Princess Diana died, so we had to handle it very sensitively and explain why the nation was reacting in the way that it was.
The body of Princess Diana has been brought here to a private chapel. All day, people have been queuing to sign their names in a book of tributes to her.
That's one of the most crucial roles that Newsround fulfills, is not to frighten the children that are watching it, but just to take them through very difficult stories gently and give them a real sense of the reality of the story, so that you don't overplay it, you don't frighten children, but you also don't deny them the facts.
This used to be a playground, and the frames of the swings here have been turned into shelters.
I've been watching soldiers go into Afghanistan for years on the TV, but to be actually going out with them now feels pretty crazy.
This is Dadaab, the biggest refugee camp in the world. Hundreds of thousands of people have come here because they have nowhere else to go.
You had to tell the story in a way that people who knew absolutely nothing about what was going on would be able to understand. And that's an incredibly difficult thing to do.
This is John Humphreys for Newsround in Salisbury, Rhodesia.
I think the programme really comes into its own through Newsround specials when it dedicates 10 or 15 minutes to one subject that really affects the audience.
I didn't tell my friends about what I was drinking because I felt that they might take the mick out of me and call me names and that. Nobody understood what it was like for me because the teachers always used to tell me to sit down when I got angry and everything, and they don't know what I was going through.
Children are fascinated by news. They want to know what's going on in the world. They want to tell their friends, they want to tell their family, they want to tell their parents, they want to tell them all about this kind of stuff, and they feel a real need to know about the world they're growing up in.
Britain's education bosses have sharply attacked the government's plans to make more cuts in school spending.
They're here outside Parliament in London to make sure their voices get heard and to make sure that the government know just how upset they are that the Building Schools for Future programme has been scrapped.
Newsround has changed so much in its 40-year existence, but it's still as relevant today as it was when it first started, because no one else does anything quite like it. No one else champions kids and allows kids to have that kind of voice and explains to kids what's going on in their world.
What do you want to get out of Gordon Brown?
Some good answers.
We're not letting go without really good answers.
The young carers in the country, how are you going to identify them and give them all the help that they need?
Even at a moment when children have got so many other ways of finding out about news, Newsround is still the go-to place, and I think that's going to continue for many years to come.
Congratulations on the award. Very, very richly deserved. May you win many more of them in the years and decades to come.
I can't think of a programme that deserves it more.
I'm very proud to have been a part of it.
Huge congratulations to the current Newsround team. You really deserve this award. This is a fantastic show, and long may it reign.
For 39 years, Newsround's been one of the real jewels in the BBC's crown, and we're incredibly proud of it and everything it's done. So many, many congratulations.
Well, that's all from Newsround today. See you again at the same time tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the BAFTA Special Award goes, of course, to Newsround.
Thank you very much.
That went on for longer than a news round.
This is amazing. Picking up an award for something that one did 40 years ago must be a world's first. I must say, this whole event has been a great deal better organised than the first time that News One won a BAFTA. That was the time when there wasn't children's BAFTAs altogether. Children's BAFTA, all the BAFTAs were all together. And this was at the Royal Albert Hall. It was televised. And the children's awards were put into the commercial break. The problem was, nobody told us. So, John and I were standing side by side in the Royal Albert Hall gents. When we, this is true, when we heard a voice saying, "And the winner is John Craven's newsroom." So John became the first person to win a BAFTA, running down 2 flights of stairs and zipping up his flies as he ran. But seriously, I am deeply honoured and very grateful to BAFTA for this recognition of Newsround. I was only the actual hands-on editor for the first couple of years of the programme. This award goes to all the editors and presenters and reporters for the last 40 years, ending with the current terrific team that are here tonight. I'm also grateful to the many people who made this unlikely project possible. Monica Simmons was my head of department at the time, and I thank her for her trust in supporting what was seen by many to be a foolhardy and dangerous enterprise, some of them in my own department, exposing innocent children to the horrors of war and disasters, which were going on at the time. And in those days, the children's programs was followed by the 5:40 news, so children would have a pretty good idea what was going on, but no understanding. And we had a mission to explain, to make understood, and thereby reassure our audience of what was going on. I am also grateful to the great Paul Fawkes, wonderful controller of BBC One, for his backing of the programme, and also for suggesting that I should go and speak to Derek Amor, who was the then editor of Television News. I didn't know him, but I knew what he looked like, and I bumped into him in that corridor that goes down to the canteen, and I said, "Look, Paul Fawkes has asked me to talk to you about the notion of doing a news program for children." And his first reaction was, "What an interesting idea. Come and see me at 5 o'clock. So I duly turned up in his office, and he waved me to a chair. and then proceeded to pour out 2 enormous gins, topped up with just a smidgen of warm, flat tonic. No ice. No ice. And then he said, "Speak." So I told him what I wanted to do. And when I left the office, he had promised me the full use of the news round, all the news gathering facilities, and everything to do with news, a cruise and correspondence throughout the world. He had changed news round from a dream into a complete reality. It's interesting that the correspondents, the best correspondents, like John Humphreys and Keith Graves and Martin Bell, were the ones who were the most interested in filing a report tailored for children. They saw it as a challenge. And I can remember opening a film can containing a report from a tough and renowned correspondent in Africa. And in the can was also contained a note addressed to me saying, "Dear Edward, if you use this, would you mind phoning this number and telling my wife to tell my son that I made it, I'm going to be on Newsround." And that one personal moment that I shall never forget, when I felt maybe we'd made it, was when I heard Martin Bell say at the end of a brilliant and moving report in the Vietnam War, "This is Martin Bell for John Craven's Newsround from the jungles of Vietnam." And finally tonight, as he used to say at the end of the bulletin, to John Craven himself. When I first started Newsround, I flattered myself that I knew a bit about shaping up programmes for children's television, but I knew absolutely nothing about news gathering or the way you did a news programme. John, with his background, of course, knew it all, and he patiently taught me on the job. He understood about Newsround from the very beginning. He was our finest writer, our most incisive reporter, and an unparalleled newsreader for children. And if there's a nicer guy to work with in the whole of television, I'd like to be here.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for giving me my big break as well, because Edward was the best of bosses. He was incredibly enthusiastic and supportive and great fun to work with. So thank you, Edward. Without you, Newsround would not be here tonight. You know, a lot of people in our business tend to be remembered for programmes which they personally would prefer to forget. But I'm terribly proud of Newsround, always have been. And it does come as a bit of a shock, though, these days, when people who I think look pretty old come up to me and say, "Thank you for being part of my childhood." And those shirts and jumpers that Nick mentioned, you know, I thought they were quite subdued at the time. Everybody was wearing voile shirts and kipper ties and great big collars and loud jumpers. I think what all the fuss was about was that every other television newsreader in the world sat behind a desk and wore a suit. And here was this upstart perched on the desk and wearing casual clothes. So, you know, it took a lot of winning over on the part of some people, but we did it. And it's been very good for me because I've managed to spend the rest of my career without wearing a suit, apart from on occasions like this. But this wouldn't look very good on Countryfile, would it? So I managed to keep the jumpers and the shirts. And who watched Newsround when they were young or not so young? How many people in this room? Well, that is just about everybody. And that really proves just how successful this little experiment, which was given 6 weeks to prove itself, has turned out to be. And, I mean, I left Newsround in 1989. Since then, it's gone from strength to strength. It's won bucketfuls of awards. It does dozens of programmes every week. But it still keeps high up that torch for Newsround which Edward and I first carried. And we're very proud of today's programme. I looked at it the other night, and they were dealing with the inquiry into phone tapping and press intrusion. They were talking about Millie Dowler and the McCanns. And I thought to myself, if I'd put that together, I would have been very proud. So congratulations to today's team. To Ori and the whole team, the nation's children still depend on you for getting their information straight. Congratulations, and here's to the next 4 years of Newsround.
It wasn't just the jumpers. From watching that, it was the gear back in the Safari, John. You really rocked it. Absolutely rocked it. Can I just say from the current team, it's an absolute pleasure to work on a programme that's been an institution for absolute decades. It's a pleasure to share the stage with guys like Ed, John, the team, Nick, and an absolute honour to be recognised by someone like BAFTA. For as long as we can, we will tell the news in a way that keeps the kids coming back. So thank you very much from all of us. Cheers.
Cheers, John. Thank you.